Does it give a countdown?
All right, there you
No.
go.
Okay. Alright. So my speech is over the scientific evolution of mankind. And around about 8 million years ago, humans diverged from apes, and there were several species that came from that. PBS addressed the evolution of mankind and found that there were around about 12 different species of man that developed, and they were called hominids. Thought to be the first of the hominids were the Orion to Genesis species that lived around 6 million years ago, and it is the oldest species that man is known to belong to. And there were sediments that were found in Kenya around about 1900. Following that species is Ardipithecus ramidus, the Australopithecus africanus, Homo erectus, Homo neanderthalis, and us Homo sapiens. The Ardipithecus ramidus lived around 4.4 million years ago, and found in Kenya also was a lower jawbone from a young girl. It was found around about the year 1992 and 1993. After the Ardipithecus ramidus is the Australopithecus africanus, which discovered to live about 4.1 billion years ago, and a lower leg bone was found in Kenya as well. And the lower leg bone indicated that they were no longer hunched over like apes. They actually stood up. They walked upright, and the bone was found in '94. Discovered in 1999 was the species Homo erectus, and they were discovered around about 1.7 million years ago. A partial skull and a lower jawbone from a younger female was also found, but it was found in the Republic of Georgia around 250,000 years ago to 30,000 years ago. So we're coming back to where we are now, was the Neanderthals. And those are thought to have been the species that favored apes somewhat. They were the ones you see kind of like Fred Flintstone. They were very, very big and strong. They were brutish. They had very long forearms, so they kind of walked hunched over. A species that Ardipithecus africanus was actually thought to have mated with the Neanderthals. The Neanderthals were actually thought to have been not very smart, but later on they were discovered that just like in Africa, they had the shell, the paint that they would put on their faces and stuff like that. What made them stand out for the rest was their stocky bodies. They had very small brain, well, not very small, but their brain capacities were smaller compared to ours. They had very large jaws and small foreheads, so they were one of a kind. And they lived mostly in Europe and the Middle East, and they lived in very, very cold climates. So they were the hunter-gatherers. They were the ones that killed what we would call big game, but like the buffaloes, and they skinned them and all of that. So they're not as dumb as everybody thought them to have been. And next is us Homo sapiens. We began around about 100,000 years ago, and we are the proof that Homo sapiens are still alive today. We are very different from all the rest of the other species because we do have larger brain capacities. We stand upright. We're not nearly as strong as the Neanderthals, where our bones are actually much more lighter and thinner. We are the tallest of all of them because all the rest of them stood hunched over. So our arms are in ratio to our legs. So with the Neanderthals, their arms, because they were hunched over, were actually a lot longer and bigger than their legs. But we are actually almost, you want to say, even ratio of the species. Our eyebrows are, our eyebrow ridges are much smaller. The Neanderthals actually had took up most of their foreheads, so our eyebrows are much smaller. And we stand completely upright. We have no reason to crawl. And those are basically the characteristics that set us apart, besides our ability to communicate and use of symbols and paint, drawing, using rocks and starting fire and stuff like that. That makes us different from the rest of them all. And that is my speech. Dun, dun, dun.